Greetings, boys and girls. I'm Eddie Dion from Sea Entertainment, and today I'm here to do a commentary on the songs I've created. Now, this commentary will not be playing the music at the same time. I just want to have a commentary on each song, and so I'm going to personally listen to my own songs again, and I'm going to comment on how I feel about them. As many people may know, these are AI songs, EA created, but they basically, I see this as me commissioning someone to make my music for me. Now, I am a musician, I play guitar, I can play bass, I can barely play drums though. And honestly, with how much time I spent on this whole thing, I could have done it myself. Not the drums, I probably would have used FL Studio to make drums and it would have sucked. But overall, it probably would have still been better. And I can sing. Whether it's good or not, that's for everybody else to decide. I think I'm decent. But with that out of the way, I want to get to the first song, Through the Shadows. So with Through the Shadows, the very first song, my original idea was not an album. I just had a few songs, and then originally I just wanted to see what AI was like. And then eventually I thought of something epic, and that was an album. That was after like 4 of the songs of what would be on the album were made, so I had to remake them to what I imagined in my mind. And I rewrote the lyrics. Through the Shadows, I wanted an epic film score, basically. So that's what the first song on the album is. The epic film score, I wanted it to have a bit of a metal feel to it, but also kind of classical almost. So I believe opening an album with something epic, like there's a grand adventure happening, just waiting for you to join and fulfill, is a good way to start an album. And it wasn't till later, but I realized there's an actual story going on here. It wasn't intentional, but then I realized there definitely is some kind of story going on. So I think throughout the album, I would like to see people guess what that might be.
Where hope fades away in this desolation, I'm destined to decay. This real life consumes.
So, Dreary Life is the title track off the album, and I almost made it a different song. I was thinking on doing I Don't Belong, but that's a bit too on the nose, I believe. This version, the Suno version, Dreary Life, is a very blues metal almost. Because I love blues, but I also love metal. And I am gothic. And I may sound a little weird, but I think that goth and emo are just the grandchildren of the blues. It's all in that very sad and melancholic realm. It's just that goth and emo just takes it to different extremes. So I really like the idea of combining blues and goth and metal. In fact, the genre I typed in was, well, not metal per se, it was actually gothic blues rock. And with the AI music of Suno, I used a different one as well. That's the next album. Dreary Life actually became like, it sounded like gothic, it sounded like blues rock, and so that's pretty cool. The next album, everything sounds more metal, which actually ended up being more what I was hoping for in the end. Yeah, if this was gothic blues metal, I think it would have been a little bit more to my liking. But the lyrics, so yes, I have the lyrics up. This way I can tell you guys which songs were actually generated by the AI, but then re-edited by me. Now this song here was actually generated by AI, just the first verse, second, and the chorus. Now I added third verse and a bridge, and I actually rewrote, I believe, the first verse. The first verse I actually rewrote. The second verse I edited and I swapped around different lines. And the chorus, I changed different words, but the chorus was actually pretty spot on to what I wanted. And you can tell it was AI because of the guitar riffs tear through the midnight air. I actually really liked that line. It gave me a good image in my mind. I kept that line in, so that line is AI. But I personally enjoyed it, so, you know. And I was really happy that the Suno version had a guitar solo. But I'll have to say the guitar solo takes inspirations from Gary Moore almost. Like somebody trying not to sound like him, but was inspired by him. So it's pretty cool. I'll never care. Hmm. This is actually one of my favorite songs off of this version. I will have to say this version might be better than the other one. Now, I'll Never Care is a song I wrote. Um, how long ago has it been? I'll look at the file to see how long it's been. I used to write the date I wrote stuff. I don't seem to have a date for it. But if I were to guess, I wrote this song quite possibly 5 to 10 years ago. Oh, here it is. 2015. So yeah, I wrote this song 9 years ago. Now, back in those days, I was still more blues rock based, I think. So a lot of this was originally like melancholic acoustic guitar music. And then later, I was like, that's not what I want. I hear this being as like gothic music. So this is actually alternative goth metal. That's the prompt I used because that's what I wanted this song to be. The song came about after I believe I actually knew somebody who asked a question if they were real or not. It was probably an emo girl, and it resonated with me because I often wondered, like, what is real? Am I real? Very philosophical now that I think about it. But the music is beautiful. It's has a pop flair because I think people who use Suno probably make a lot of pop music. So the vocalist thing that they used for this was it almost reminded me of Ariana Grande. So it almost sounded like she was singing like an alternative metal ballad almost, which I think would be pretty cool. But yeah, this was a song I wrote many years ago, and I wanted to see how it would sound. So that's what this song is. I Don't Belong. Now, this song to me is probably the most. I wrote this song in about 2020, 2021. I used to have a huge depression starting in about 2004. It was very low, and then it got really bad in 2006, and it just kept getting bad until 2011, and it didn't come back until 2020. Obvious reasons, I'm sure. And I just felt very lonely, and that's why I wrote this song. And to me, this is actually the most personal song on the album, and that's why I almost named the album this. but I didn't really like the idea of doing that. To me, this is the best version of this song on either this or the other version. Something about how they had her sing, the AI sing this is really good. Um, but yes, I wrote all three verses and the chorus. This doesn't have a bridge. It's a bit of a shame that the Suno music isn't more clear and it sounds muddy. There was not much I could do to make this better in FL Studio. Basically, I just made it louder. I was able to make it sound a little bit better, but not too much. I really love the chorus of this song. Yeah, it hits me in the feels. I know if I write a song that affects me, then I know I've done well because yeah, that's I'm my own worst critic.
For me, low ground is where she used to be found. After the day she had drowned, but now she haunts me every day and night. It's alright, she still blows as my
Ah, yes.
light.
Chill in my soul. I wanted a blues song. Like I said, I wanted a gothic blues song. And this was it, honestly. This was the gothic blues song. I believe I actually wrote this one. Because there was only 2 or 3 that I had generated and then edited to make my own. But I believe this is one of the ones I wrote. Yes, I did write this one. I remember now. One of the songs the AI generated had the words desolation and despondent. And I looked up what those words meant, and I really liked them, so I started using them throughout all the songs I wrote on this album. I wanted a blues song, but I wanted it really gothic sounding. I wanted the lyrics to be gothic and all that good stuff. The other version, as you may have already heard, is more metal, gothic metal, but I'm quite alright with that version as well. But this is definitely this is how I really saw this version of this song. Both this and the other versions that I made of this album, all the songs are kind of similar, or how I kind of envisioned them. But this song in particular is the closest, I think.
Darkness within my heart, the void will soon claim where once your love was my guiding flame through haunted nightmares. I tried to fall.
Shadows of Desolation. I believe this is the second song that was generated by the AI, including the lyrics, which I then edited. I believe it was this one. It was either this one or another one. I actually can't tell because this sounds exactly like something I would write. I probably should have marked them down which ones. Okay, so I think this one was AI generated, which would be the first 2 verse and the chorus, but this one was also heavily edited, and I actually added a line and took out a line. I don't know if there's anything much original about this though. I think in the first verse there was some that I kept in there, but this one is probably my least favorite song on this album. At least this version. I haven't listened to the other version in a long time, to be quite honest. But yeah, this is probably my least favorite version. Probably my least favorite song on the whole album. That being said, I still like it, obviously, or I wanted to put it here. And this song is actually a emo-goth metal. That was what I put for the prompt. So yeah.
If we keep each other in sight, so I hold out to her my hand and we fly away to a safer land.
Ah, yes. Beautiful Fairy and I. This is the halfway point through the song. And so far, this song has been very dreary, very melancholic, and very dark. So, for the middle of the song, I wanted something mellow. So, that was one of the key words I put into the prompt. But this is a progressive power metal song. And I felt like halfway through the album, there should be a little bit of respite for something nice. And this is a song I wrote also a very, very long time ago. Probably a lot longer ago than the other song. The file says 2015 when I wrote this, but honestly, I believe I recorded a version of this song longer ago than that. It is quite possible that this was written in 2015, but I truly believe I wrote it maybe 2012, 2010. There's a few reasons why I wrote this song. I had a friend long ago that she really liked the idea of fairies, and I was just beginning to create, like, put my fantasy world together because I created a fantasy world, and she thought it would be cool if there were fairies in my fantasy world, and I'm like, okay, why not? And so a few years after that, I just came up with a song based on fairies because I just thought it would be funny. Both versions of the song are very similar, and that's how I imagined this song. And I absolutely love the bridge of the song, which is the final lines. So, Fractal Odyssey. I am gothic, goth, whatever you want to call it, emo, little goth, little punk, and a little alternative. But I watch YouTube and I watch a lot of different people. And one of the people I watched was a person known as Become the Night. And he's a very progressive metal kind of person. And I'm like, what is this progressive metal? Doesn't matter if you're goth, does not matter if you're emo. Once you listen to progressive metal, your life will change. And from henceforth, I was like, okay, I love gothic metal, but what would progressive gothic metal be sounding like? So a lot of this album is has a lot of progressive gothic metal because those were the prompts. This song in particular is an instrumental, as you may know, and I wanted a progressive metal song. And with this one, I didn't even have anything in mind all that much. I just wanted the AI to surprise me. What can the AI make for progressive metal? How would all the progressive metal fans feel about it? It made me smile. It makes me smile right now. I'm pretty sure they're shitting themselves. It got some interesting ideas. All the chord changes, all the tempo changes make sense for this song. But a lot of the other songs it doesn't really make sense for. Most of the progressive metal are the last few songs in the album, I should mention. Either way, of the two versions, this is my least favorite version because the other version, I still had something in mind, and the other version came much closer. So, yeah.
Shimmering in the moonlight. I feel cold wisps of air sting at my face. I don't feel right. My bed is haunted at night as she tries to fondle my soul. A longing to
Hauntingly
feel
Hollow. This is the second song that had AI in it, I believe. Actually, third, actually, I'm sorry, I meant third. This is the third one that had AI. I wasn't sure if there were two or three, but there were three. And I believe I had to rewrite a lot of it because it felt weird. Like, the lyrics they chose were really weird. The chorus was good, so I kept the chorus the same, but the first two verses were trash. So I had to rewrite the verses. And then so I rewrote verse 1 and 2. I might have kept some lines in some of them, but for the most part, I rewrote verse 1 and 2. I wrote verse 3 and the bridge. The chorus was the only thing I pretty much left mostly untouched. The idea of this song is... this song is interesting because it can have two meanings. It can mean somebody who has gotten married, a guy who's gotten married, and then he's realized that that's not something he wants. And he's not, like, really a man, basically. He's letting her make the choices. So that's one version. I can see people seeing that as a meaning to this song, but that actually isn't my meaning when I was writing this. This was just literally what would happen if you fell in love with a girl, but then you realized she was actually a ghost all along. It's more about what you're willing to be in love with when you're so lonely. Would you be willing to fall in love with a ghost? So I actually really like this song. But I prefer the other version over this one. Still, really good song, really good gothic love song. And this is another emo-gothic metal song, so yeah. Sacrifice my soul. That's just... if that doesn't ring out goth to you, I don't know what does. This is a progressive gothic metal song. And this one, I wrote everything but the chorus. Once again, this was AI generated, except I once again rewrote the verse 1 and 2 because I didn't like them. The chorus I thought was interesting. I then, of course, wrote verse 3, verse 4, and the bridge. And, like I said, I rewrote verse 1 and 2, or I edited them so much that they became my own. So, yes, two songs that were AI generated that I didn't edit too much because they were better than I expected. And then two songs that were AI generated that I had to completely rewrite most of it because they were really silly, especially the last song. This song is another love song in a way, except for it's more like an anti-love song, I believe. This is when you love something so much that you're willing to give away anything to keep that idea of love. It isn't really love, it's just you have the idea that this might be love, and it's kind of what it is about. And thusly, originally it was supposed to be about falling in love with a vampire, but then I realized I already had a song that was falling in love with a ghost. So this was more about realizing love wasn't real all along. Thus, this is one of my other favorite songs. Not my favorite version of this song, though. But yes, I believe this is the first progressive gothic metal song in this album. Or the second one. At least in this version. Not much else to say about this very long song. This is the very first long song in this album at 7 minutes. 10 minutes in the other version. Anyway, not much else to say about this one. Ah yes, Realm of Misery. This song I did write, and I believe I had this song earlier in the album, but I felt it would do better here. So yeah, I wrote all of this, and this song is actually very straightforward. about its meaning. It's the title basically gives what this is about. This is just when you're not feeling good. This song is gothic power metal. I have a wide range of love for different types of metal. Progressive, alternative, gothic, emo. I pretty much like all music. And I really love, there's this band that I really love that is called Nocturna. They're really new, relatively speaking. I think they're about 2 or 3 years old, and they are gothic power metal. And this is what I imagined for this song was this, like the really operatic vocals. If you listen to Nocturna, the band from Italy, not the older band from many years ago, but the newer band from Italy, really good. Two female singers and three musicians in the band, really good. This is basically what I was imagining for when I was writing this song, so pretty good. Eternal emptiness. And I'm not laughing at the name of the song. I'm just laughing at the fact that this is a leftover song. There were two songs that did not really fit the overall vibe of this album. They weren't really quite metal. There was another song originally that I was gonna have on this album, and I took it off because it didn't feel like, this is a band idea I had for quite some time, and the song idea I had did not really fit this album or the band. It was a hardcore punk or emo-core kind of song, very screamy, and so I took that song off. This was the other song that didn't really fit on the album to me. This is Dark Wave. I really like Dark Wave, and this actually reminds me of a band from Italy also, and I believe, yes, so the band's name is Oddco. I believe they're from Italy, although it says they're based in LA now. If he's not from Italy, then I must have read something wrong. This is what it reminds me of. They're an alternative industrial metal band, but their music kind of reminds me of this song here. And that's not exactly what I was going for, but this was one of the songs that surprised me. I really liked it. I actually listened to the whole song while commenting on it. But yes, I like that song a lot.
But now it's too late. The yawning chasm, it's now sealed my fate. Me and the rings of the hopeless, the end of us.
Celestial Zone. This is the epic song. Once again, I wrote it all. I was thinking of doing things strangely for this song. I wanted the lyrics to be weird and epic. I wanted it to have strange flow to it. I wanted strange flow. So one of the verse has a weird, like, I don't know, it has weird, like, syllablage, like, stuff like that. I'm still trying to figure out how I could possibly even think about making progressive metal. And I figured I'd just start with lyrics. And so some of the verses are very interesting, especially like story-wise. But the bridge is where I really wanted something interesting. And this version of the song is not nearly as good as the other version. I think the other version came much closer to how I envisioned it. This version does the progressive metal pretty decently. Actually, this was AI generated. I mean, it was all AI generated, but the lyrics were AI generated. But I did not like the chorus, so I had to rewrite that. The second verse was not good, so I had to redo that. I think it was either first or second, but I believe it was the first verse that I liked, so I kept that the same. This was the first song I generated on Suno, actually. I redid this song, but so this is not the actual very first version of it. I redid it, everything closer to what I wanted. But the origins of this song here was the very first song I generated. I wanted to see if AI could generate something that sounded like progressive metal. So I gave the prompt of dynamic, very dynamic progressive metal about the emptiness of space or something like that. And then I just rewrote everything. The song has 4 verses, a bridge, and a chorus. It's a really huge song. Maybe one day I will not just do a commentary of the songs, but maybe I will tell this. In fact, I will tell the story of what I envision this album to be. So that is it. I think the commentary is over. I hope you guys enjoyed this album. This version is not my favorite version of the album, except for a few songs. I'll Never Care, I Don't Belong, Chill in My Soul are my favorite versions of the songs. Or rather, they're my favorite songs on the album. And I believe they're my favorite versions of the songs. There are other songs I like, but may not be my favorite versions. I really like Beautiful Fairy and I. It's a great song. I love it. And this song here is Celestial Zone. I really like this song. Might not be my favorite version of the song, but I like the song overall. Anyways, I hope you guys all enjoyed. Love y'all. Peace to you. And as always, stay safe.